Hey, it's Ben, Dead Guy Cardboard. Um, just had to do a video talking about the whole Topps situation, PWCC. I'm sure you guys have seen other videos, people talking about the topic, and I just kind of want to give my own insight and observations of what I think is going to happen and what it means for the hobby. But before I go down that dark path, I want to say congrats to Miguel Cabrera, who just hit his 500 home run this Sunday. I didn't get to catch it live. I've been watching the Tigers games the last like 4 or 5 games, but didn't hit it Saturday and Friday and Thursday, but was able to in Toronto. So congrats. I think 500 home runs is a pretty big accomplishment nowadays without steroids. And I might open this box of Topps Traded. I showed this before, but this doesn't have the chrome, it's just the paper, but this has each one of these Topps Traded boxes have guarantee they have a paper Cabrera rookie card, and there's one auto per box, and there's 80 different autos in this Topps Traded set. So you have a 1 in 80 chance of pulling a Miguel Cabrera autographed rookie card. His only autographed rookie card. So worth picking this up. I mean, it's definitely a fun break. And you're guaranteed to at least pull a Miggy base rookie card. Okay, so hopefully I don't go too much into a ramble. I have some talking notes, but I'm sure you guys have all heard that Fanatics will essentially be making baseball cards in the near future. Topps will no longer be making baseball cards, I think in 2026. I think 2025 is their last year. They'll lose a license with the MLB and the Players Union. And I think this is just really sad. I mean, Topps has been making baseball cards for 70 years, really over 70 years. They've even made some baseball cards in 1948 of retired players like Ty Cobb. But of course it's really started with 52 Topps in terms of traditional baseball cards. I just think it's sad. I mean, there's just so much nostalgia with Topps. I mean, my 75-year-old dad remembers opening packs of 57 Topps and pulling a Frank Robinson and collecting cards from Topps. I think what the worst part about this whole thing is that Topps apparently had no clue. From what I've read recently is apparently Fanatics was in talks with the Players Union and MLB for several months, and Topps had no idea about this. And of course, Topps wasn't going to match Fanatics' offer because Fanatics is worth $18 billion and Topps is worth a little bit north of $1 billion. So I mean, I don't know what Fanatics offered them, but of course Topps was going to match it. But I don't think I think it's just like a money grab, right? I mean, do the players really need more money? I know all the players, don't make $200 million plus, like Tatis and Trout and etc. But it just screams money grab and not really appreciating what Topps has done for MLB. I mean, in many ways, MLB, in my opinion, helped sustain baseball and making it relevant. I mean, baseball has had some struggling years, and if there was one thing that was constant, was Topps and kids collecting baseball cards. I don't know. I just don't think the MLB gets it, and it's also just a huge FU to Topps because they were just about to go public. They're going to IPO as a publicly traded stock company with Murdoch Capital, and that completely fell through right after this announcement that Fanatics was going to take over the baseball rights for baseball cards. So now, this company's worth nothing because other than baseball cards, Topps, I believe, just has Garbage Pail Kids, maybe some Star Wars cards, Formula One, and they have a little bit of soccer. I mean, Panini has some soccer stuff too. That's another thing. Panini might also lose out on this too. It's looking more and more like Fanatics made a deal with the NBA and the Players Union there, along with football. So Fanatics might have a stronghold on all the sports. I haven't heard anything about hockey, but I wouldn't be surprised if they, outbid Upper Deck on hockey. Okay, so let me add some more cards in here. Just, I don't know. I think it's sad. I mean, there's just so much history with Topps and baseball cards. I think moving forward, I think a lot of honestly older collectors are gonna leave this hobby. I mean, maybe not the younger collectors that really don't care about the nostalgia of it, but some of the older collectors, that's all they've ever collected was Topps. You know, if you were born before 1980, you opened Topps baseball cards. Your dad opened Topps baseball cards, or maybe your grandfather opened Topps baseball cards. That's all of a sudden gone. You know, I don't think a huge portion of the hobby is going to leave because of that, but it's definitely a thing. It's also just, this is also around the time that there's going to be, you know, a player strike. There's strong rumors that there'll be a player strike in 2022. So the following year, Topps is not going to be able to make baseball cards like we know it. So the timing of maybe there's a strike, there could be no baseball season in 2022, and the following year, the Topps baseball cards are not going to be the same, regardless of whether or not there's a season. That's because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've read, in 2023, Fanatics will have the players' rights in terms of imaging, but not the Major League Baseball rights. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Topps products in 2023 can't show current players? Because they'll have the Major League Baseball rights, but they won't have the players' rights. So does that mean in 2023, which is only 2 years away, they're just going to have, what, like retired players? Which is going to suck. I mean, there's this, and then I think in 2026 is when they lose both licenses. So there's going to be this weird period where Fanatics will have the players' rights, but not the rights to show the uniform with their, you know, with their team logos. But Topps is going to have the rights for the team logos, but not the actual players. I think it might be a little all over the place with my rant, but I think this is also going to hurt local card shops. I mean, the way that Fanatics works is they are a online seller primarily. They sell crappy sports jerseys made in China that deteriorate after a couple washes. But their whole business model, and they're good at it, is selling sports memorabilia online. On top of that, they hired a guy from StockX, and StockX, if you know StockX, they resell shoes online and some baseball cards too now, but they're exclusively an online company. So this makes me think that if Fanatics takes over baseball cards, sports cards in general, that they're going to just distribute cards online, solely online. I mean, you're not going to see them distributing it out to local card shops, and this is going to shut down, you know, all these loyal baseball card fans that have been running these shops for years. And I think it's just sad, and hopefully it doesn't come to that, but that's definitely something to look out for. And God forbid if it isn't online only, that they somehow make it so we can get these cards and that they're not controlled by bots. You know, that's a big problem now, and it's always been a problem with like sneakerheads and like supreme fanatics. Also, something to think about is like what happens if, for example, Mike Trout has a lifetime contract with Topps. So, you know, if Topps somehow doesn't get bought out, like what's going to happen with Mike Trout autos? Is he just going to have like pictures of him not in a uniform that are signed? It's just going to be really jankety. What a lot of people think is will Fanatics buy out Topps and Panini? I think, you know, that's certainly a possibility. They certainly have the capital to buy out Topps and Panini and Upper Deck. I mean, they're worth $18 billion, which is worth a lot more than Topps and Panini. I don't know what Panini is worth, but I can almost guarantee you they could afford to buy these companies out. Which, I'd rather that happen than just completely losing the Topps brand. It's going to be a little jankety because I'm sure there will be Fanatics branding somewhere on the cards. I mean, if you look at Panini, when Panini basically bought out the rights for Donruss, You see Panini, Donruss Optic or Donruss Elite, but in Panini's label on the back. But I think it's better than nothing. If at least, hopefully, Topps will still be around. That kind of makes me think too. Like I mean, Fanatics really outsources all of their products. Like they're just all made in China, and that's mostly because it's a clothing company primarily. But will that mean they're going to outsource where these cards are being made? Are we going to get cards made in China? Which that's kind of unfortunate, because there's something that's truly Americana about baseball cards, and it's even cooler that they're typically made in America. I also just makes me think that if Fanatics controls the market, if they are basically the holding company to Panini and Topps and Upper Deck, what's going to happen with innovation? I mean, I think innovation has stalled since the late 90s when these companies like Leaf and Donruss, even Upper Deck lost certain licenses. There hasn't been anything fun and different for the most part. And so if one holding company controls all of these cards, they're not going to care about innovation, because they know collectors have nowhere else to go but buying a Fanatics product. Another thing I've been thinking about too is, which is a kind of a good thing, the new Fanatics deal is they're going to give equity to the MLB and MLB players. So the players will get a cut of these baseball cards. And so that makes me think that players are going to really pump sports cards like crazy starting soon. I mean, you're going to see a lot more guys post on social media about their cards, because they're going to get paid for basically promoting these cards. So there's going to be even more exposure, I think, as a result of this happening. I don't want to just, make this video sound so depressing. This does happen. For example, maybe there is going to be something new, different. Maybe Fanatics is going to come out with outstanding photography. I mean, Leaf came to mind when this popped up in 1990. The classic, Upper Deck, Ken Griffey Jr., which I don't think I have with me. It really did change the game in a good way. It introduced really high-res photography. And maybe because Fanatics does already have deals with selling game-worn jerseys and signed jerseys, maybe we'll see actual game-worn jerseys now in cards, like we did in the late 90s. Hopefully it's not all doom and gloom. No one wants it to be that way. And now just to quickly talk about PWCC. So this was huge news too, because I think, and if you haven't heard, PWCC can no longer sell their cards or show their consignments, their auctions on eBay. eBay shut them down. There was an email that was sent around. I got the email. A lot of people got the email saying that they were shut down for shill bidding, which is really strange to me, because we all knew that PWCC was shill bidding. I don't like that they shill bid, but like other people have said, I don't mind it too much, because I have a price in mind, and if it goes over, I'm not going to bid over that price. I mean, I don't like how shill bidders artificially increase the price of a card. And what that does too is it in many ways, PWCC has controlled the sports card market in terms of prices. They set the tone of what a card's worth by really essentially shill bidding these cards up. So I think if eBay shuts down PWCC is not going to have nearly the exposure that they used to. I mean, part of the big reason people like PWCC is you just happen to come across their auctions. Like, let's say I eBay search a 1960 Topps Carl Yastrzemski. There will be other sellers like me selling this card, but then I'll see a PWCC listing of a Carl Yastrzemski card. And it's enticing because they have really nice high-res scans, and then that prompts you to click on some other cards in their auction. But since they no longer have that eBay exposure, they're just like any other auction house company. And I don't see now if they're any different than REA Auction or Heritage Auctions. I think I think maybe their ultimate plan is to be like eBay. We'll have daily auctions, and hopefully if they continue on, they're going to make their fees way lower than eBay, because that would compete with eBay. But I think in general, prices of cards could go down as a result of PWCC no longer in eBay, and no longer allowed to, quote unquote, shill bid. Because I think a lot of these prices were artificially inflated as a result of shill bidding, and a company like PWCC and supposedly Propstein and really kind of dramatically increased card prices. So I think card prices will go down a bit, but I think something like the Delta variant that's going around now, people are a little more fearful of using their disposable income on vacations and whatnot. So I think maybe the prices will remain flat as a result, because people are still going to be willing to spend their money on cards, even though, and so that's going to increase demand, and so the prices that went down from PWC might flatten out with the increased demand because of the Delta variant. If that made any sense. Anyway, I just wanted to give my 2 cents on this whole matter. Hopefully Topps will still be around. Be super sad if they disappear, and we'll see what happens. Keep collecting, keep loving the hobby, and I'll say one thing: vintage will remain king if Topps goes away. So, later.